AITA for laughing when my son came home from meeting his girlfriend's parents because he chose to behave like he does at home. My son burps a lot while eating. I have tried telling him multiple times that it is rude. I've told him to slow down so he doesn't swallow air with his food. I've told him that it is disgusting. My wife will instantly jump in to defend him. She will say that's just the way he is and that it's not his fault. The thing is, he can control himself when I remind him. He just chooses not to. He just went on a date with his girlfriend last night and she tore him a new asshole. It was his first time meeting her parents since they live in another city. They went out to a fancy restaurant and he burped all the way through supper. He came home almost in tears from her chewing him out for behaving like a jackass in front of her family. I heard him telling my wife about it, and I laughed. She asked what was so funny, and I reminded them both that I had tried dozens, if not hundreds of times to teach him table manners, and he rejected them, and she protected him. I said that now he is a grown man, and he had to learn the hard way. They both think she overreacted, and that I'm the asshole for being amused by his experience. Story 2. AITA for telling one of my daughter's classmates' moms to fuck off about what I put in my daughter's lunch. For some context before the story, I, 38F, cook Asian foods regularly for dinner and for my daughter, Lily's, 7F, lunches at school. This is because my family enjoys these foods. I like to cook these foods, and my mom cooked a bunch of these foods growing up since she's half Japanese. Oftentimes I'll either give my daughter some leftovers from last night's dinner, plus a fruit, veggie, and a snack, or I'll make her a quick little bento box or some other thing really quick. So, after school one day, my daughter wanted to play on the playground for a bit before we went home. I said she could play for a few minutes, and she ran off to play. I was waiting next to this other parent, who we'll call Deborah. While I was waiting, Deborah came up to me. Deborah, are you Lily's mother? Me. Oh, yeah, I am. Why? Deborah, well, your daughter's lunches have been bothering my son, and I would like to ask you to pack something else. Me. What? How are they bothering him? She then proceeded to start talking about how her son was complaining about my daughter's lunches smelling terrible and that he thought it was disgusting. She also said her son didn't eat most of his lunch because he was so grossed out. Me. Okay. I understand your son doesn't like the smell, but can't he just sit somewhere else? Deborah. Are you kidding me? My son shouldn't have to put up with whatever crap you make your daughter bring to this school. It's disgusting. And she started making more vaguely racist complaints, but I was fed up at this point. Me. Listen, I understand your son might not like my daughter's food, but he can very easily just not sit next to her. I'm not changing what's in my daughter's lunches because you and your kid don't want to exist near Asian food. Fuck off. She angrily stomped off with her kid then, and my daughter finished playing soon after, so we went home. I talked to my husband about it, and he said that maybe I shouldn't have told her to fuck off, to avoid her bothering us in the future. Story 3. AITA for calling my daughter's father spineless and his girlfriend creepy over their name choice for their daughter. A little bit of context for you all. I ended up falling pregnant with my 10-year-old daughter during a drunken hookup with a friend in my mid-20s. Not the most glamorous or flattering truth, but it's the truth all the same. When we found out, we decided to keep the child and co-parent while remaining friends. We were never a couple, and we didn't want to be one either. 4 years ago, he began to date his long-term girlfriend, and they moved in together last year. She fell pregnant, and I've been supportive to them both as much as I could be without crossing any lines. I've encouraged my daughter to help out whenever she's staying with them during the pregnancy and to behave. I've also made it clear that I want the children to have a close relationship despite having different mothers. I've even said that if they were comfortable with it on nights, I have my daughter. If they ever want time alone, I'll babysit once they have the baby, so my daughter can spend time with her sibling. All in all, I thought everything was great, and I was excited for my daughter to have a sibling, as she's always wanted one, but I had no interest in having another child. 3 days ago, my friend and his girlfriend had a daughter. They asked me to bring my daughter to the hospital to meet her little sister yesterday alongside others of the family. So I did exactly that, but when they introduced us to the baby, I was shocked. They'd used my daughter's name. She didn't seem to have any issue with this when she introduced the baby Bold as Brass. My friend seemed uncomfortable and wouldn't look at me directly. I asked them what they were playing at which point my friend's father said he'd take my daughter down to the cafeteria to get something to eat and left with her. My friend told me to calm down and not overreact, while his girlfriend told me she didn't see the issue. And it was a pretty name. I asked them if they'd named the baby for my daughter, trying to understand the logic here, but his girlfriend said that no, it was just a pretty name she liked. I then asked if they planned to use a nickname or a middle name when addressing to her on a daily basis, and her response was that she didn't see a need for that. I told them they were being ridiculous and that they couldn't do this. I then told his girlfriend that I found this frankly creepy, and told my friend he was being spineless if he was happy to go along with this. He tried to claim our daughter could use a nickname or something, but I shut that down immediately, asking why it was more reasonable for a girl who has used that name for a decade to shame her name compared to a baby who had no concept of what a name was yet. His girlfriend told me I was being a bitch, talking to her like that, after she just gave birth, and asked the nurses to remove me, saying I was being disruptive. Maybe my temper is running a little too hot though, and I was too harsh on her when she just gave birth. It's just so fucking weird. Edit. I'd also like to state I know that what they want to name their child is their choice. They could have called her Dinosaur for all I care, but this is one name that should be off-limits or adjusted. They even have the same surname as they have the same father. Something about it just felt malicious and deliberate, as if she's trying to replace my daughter, and for them both to spring it on us like that at the first meeting? No, that was weird. Story 4. AITA for telling my wife I don't care about her dreams. My wife wants to be an influencer on TikTok and YouTube. She has been creating mommy content and content about her day-to-day life. When she told me this is something she wanted to do, I didn't have a problem with. I only said that I don't want our children, 4 AmITheA, 2F, in any of her content. I didn't monitor her channel because it didn't really seem necessary. I recently watched her channel because I thought it'd be cute, so see what she does in her day-to-day life. I found our children faces in almost all of her content. I told her straight up she needs to remove all of her content. She said that she knew I wouldn't agree, but she doesn't think this is a big deal. I don't like children content. I feel like a lot of the time when you see that children make profit, they become less of your kids and more of a product, and your interactions become more performative. And I can see the same thing has happened in her, because she posted a video of her getting our 1-year-old out of a tantrum and how she deals with it. But how is your first instinct to record and hold a camera whilst our baby is crying? She started crying, saying that she built this up and this is her dream, and deleting her content will ruin it. And I said I simply don't give a fuck. If you don't delete it, I will consider a divorce. I know a lot of people have children on their social media, and I don't mind an Instagram or Facebook post, but to make videos seem to intimate to share. She told her friends, and even hinted on her social media accounts, that she has an over-controlling and narcissistic husband that doesn't want her on social media. I'm currently being ridiculed by her friends. Am I being over-controlling or narcissistic?